In this video, I'm going to talk to you about some additional refinements. Let's get started by looking at the window. Now, since you've seen this window last, all it was just a footprint painted on the wall, and it had been extruded out, you can see here. And so what I did was I wanted to start by giving a thickness for the window casing. And so all I did was offset some lines around the exterior edge here. And I eyeballed the thickness, knowing, of course, that the line on this side needed to be farther from the window opening than the line from this side. And then it was just a matter of using vertical lines and lines from the vanishing point. And so you can see here, this is the thickness of the window casing running around here. Now, it would look like it was painted on, except for the fact that there's a little horizontal line here and a little horizontal line here that connect to vertical lines down that gives a thickness to that window casing. You can also see that that casing applied over here. In this case, we're talking about crown molding and baseboards. So you can see here, I did a profile in the upper corner. You can see here of a piece of crown molding. And then at each place where there's a change of plane here, I extended the line from the vanishing point through and out along this wall. And that's how you create crown molding. Same thing down here. I created a little profile. You can see the profile here as well. And then at each point where there was a change of plane, I connected it from the vanishing point to that point and extended it down the wall. Now, the other thing you can see here is there's a little bit of confusion on this corner here, and that's just because it's very small and there's a lot of lines happening. But basically, I've drawn an inset or zoomed in photograph or sketch right here. You can see here that there's casing around this opening as well. And you can see it's a casing that's a piece of wood that's stuck to the wall surface. You can see it right here. Okay, so it's a piece of wood that's stuck to the wall surface. It's got a thickness, and that thickness is just a little bit wider than the thickness or the profile for the crown molding, or pardon me, base molding. You can see here, that's happening right here. You can see there's a thickness, and there's a little horizontal line. This little horizontal line is the only thing that indicates the thickness. You can see it's right here. And then you can see, once again, we've got the base molding profile that comes along here. And every place where there's a change of plane, there's a line that connects from the vanishing point through and extends along this wall. And you can see here, as lines get extended, things like, this little piece under here gets hidden. Okay, so you can see that here. You can also see there's that thickness right here is right here. That thickness is right there, that horizontal line. You can see the thickness is applied to the wall face. It comes up. There's a really thin line right there. You can see the same thickness comes right here. And that's how you make it look so that the opening is not painted on the wall. And you can see here, the same thing that's happening here happens back here, except it's being hidden by the thickness of this door casing, so you can't see it. Okay, but that's how you do it. The key is to really draw the profile. Draw the profile. This one's a real simple profile. Just draw the profile and then extend lines using the vanishing point. But you always have to draw the profile starting on, in this case, the true height wall or flat on the wall surface here. So now that we have an understanding of the location and placement of baseboards and crown moldings, all you have to do then is extend this over and all the other little lines over, okay? And then draw that same profile back here on this corner. See? And you could see it. I could kind of start to scribble it in over here. And then once those connect, you don't end up seeing that profile. All you see is the lines coming across. You can see I'm going to draw them real messy for you so that you know how to do it. Okay? And then again, coming from the vanishing point up. And that's when you start to see. And then you'll see it down here as well. Okay? Corner of the wall is going to come down. And you'll see the same profile that you see back here. You'll see it in that back corner. And then you can go ahead and just extend it out using the vanishing points. Okay. And then you see again in the corner, it's going to look just like this. And those will connect back. Okay. So that's the way that you can go ahead and connect. Now remember, we've got a drop ceiling. So all back here where this pink box comes down, you won't see the crown molding. It'll stop right at this line. Okay, and then you'll see just a little bit of it over here, and then coming down across this bottom wall, you'll see it. Okay, now the last thing I want to show you in this video is the refinement of the window. Now, before the last time we saw this window, it was just a footprint on the wall and extruded. So now that I've got the casing in, it's starting to get a little bit busy back here, but what I want you to do is imagine that I have not hidden this thickness that's hidden behind this wall, but actually we start to connect the hidden back corner. And you can see that's what I've done here. So that's the back part of the wall where the window's been extruded through. And I need that because that's how it's going to reveal to me the midpoint. Right down here in the middle. Now remember, there's two of these window thicknesses that fit within that opening. Okay, so I've drawn those in here. Now it was convenient because they were just about 1 foot thick. And so I was able to start to use the guidelines from my side wall to create these panes coming down here like this. Now in the middle, since there's two of these right next to each other, right in the middle, there's a piece of casework or a separator between the two windows. And that looks like this. Now it's a little messy, of course, because in here they're all really close together. And so I've kind of got a zoomed in drawing here. But basically, if you put two windows like this within the same opening on a wall, there's a piece of wood right in the middle here that separates them and holds the separate frames together and kind of allows some structural support. And so that's what that looks like. So you've got the windowsill that's coming across here, a vertical line here, okay? And then what you've got is this window in this frame, and then you've got this piece of wood, and then the second window is right along that same vanishing point line here, coming up like that. Okay, and so that's what this big piece is, but there's so many lines covering up that it's getting a little bit messy. But that's how it looks. And if you're curious about seeing exactly how these parts and pieces and all these lines fit together, the very best piece of advice I can give you is to observe the world around you and start to see how all these little planes of wood, all these little moldings and trim pieces intersect with each other. Because the first step, of course, is to observe them in the world around you so that you can draw them. But eventually you draw something like this and you hand it to the millwork carpenter who works for you. And you say, okay, this is how I want the trim molding to behave. So just realize that right now it's really hard to draw because there's a lot of lines and it can be very confusing. But what you need to do is kind of always look at the drawing that you're trying to achieve and then look at an example around you so that you can kind of see how the parts and pieces fit together. And just from sitting in a spot and observing, you'll be able to see the lines that go to the vanishing point, the lines that are vertical or horizontal. And it can be really, really helpful in refining your sketches. But for now, at least, you've got a refined image that's got some good looking molding and casework on it. And if I slide my blank piece of paper underneath, you can start to see the beginnings of these elements coming together.